Alright, Appendix E, using the building pattern tool. General pattern information mentioned previously, but the building pattern tool will automate the process of making copies of the existing geometry, rectangular, cylindrical patterns. User can choose the pattern with the 3 depth of the duplication, top region, primitives. The building pattern is rough. The graphical user interface. The tools menu under the tools menu. With the currently is no command line equivalent bottom of the pattern with the graphic user interface for the user's dialog box. Spread information for each of the top of the graphic user interface for the user of the mouse uses of the text. There are many input field with the stand alone with the other belong with the series of the work together the previous need of the information specific object in each of the areas is marked with a diamond. The shape of the check box with the diamond is highlighted red with the ice all field with the sphere with the all required checks must be filled within the pattern tool to work with the pro properly. It's important to fill the file with a note that all the dimension must be in the millimeters. No commas should be used in number strings. The building pattern is tool designed to work with the prototype of the geometry object. This is saved. The object of the pattern is not included with the resonant pattern. To E2 pattern name. The shown figure E1 the tool name with the 3 number of the pattern object unless they are used for the increment of the option with the primitive, in which case the number of the region the primitives are incremented with the incremental amount of the rectangular patterns of the first number of the x-axis offset with second x-y-axis offset, third z-axis offset. The cylindrical pattern with the first number of the reference for the azimuth, the second reference for the evaluation, and the third reference for the radii, with the cylindrical pattern with the first number of the reference for the radii, from the second number of the reference for the height, and third number of the azimuth. E3 with the common field with all the pattern with the double field with the pattern with the graphic user interface with the common over the type of the pattern with the group name field with the name of the combination to be created with the appended to or by the pattern source string with a replacement string with the field to be with together the source string is in set with the character within such element as each element in the pattern object with the B chain with the replacement with the string with the set with the characters will play with the source of the string. And it showed the union and these new groups created. The incremental field with the U with the duplication, the primitive level, the leftmost number of the part field of each of the primitive. Determine the incremental examine the primitives of the object with the wish of the pattern with the find the largest span. For example, the grade of the pan of the primitive level, the following primitive, which may or may not be in regions or summaries. Parts 22, 1, 23, 24, 24, 1, 24, 1, 20, 25. So underneath the determined span of the note, the left number of the primitive range from 22 to 25 is shown with the following expression. The span is 4 extensively. 22 has 1, 23 has 2, 24 is 4, 25 is 5, 4. If we use 4 increment of 4, they will have the following set of the parameters: 26, 26, 1, 27, 28, 21, 28, 1. 21.9. Although the acceptable greater increment graphs of the number of the experiments troublesome with the U the capable extensive of the final object filled with the U the names of all the items in pattern. Alright, E4, string substitution. Impossible to create the manner pattern with the string character of each of the album object of these in list L underscore R underscore useful symmetric application left or right over the sphere that each element object must have the string. So source string that each of them must be thoroughly name each primitive region and assembly properly. Consider the following example. You have your listed headlight case region union listed headlight 1 shape 2 and minus listed headlight shape 2 1. And then 1 listed headlight bulb listed headlight region 2 union headlight plus union headlight surface 3 1. And then show that would be the right headlight on the other side. The top level of the duplication, copy the pattern object with a reference in the entire surface of the matrices. Follow the pattern group, copy to some of the matrices, some of the region primitive region level duplications, copy to some of the region of the reference of the region level down with the matrix pattern group combo, copy the assemble the copy the region of the matrix, remember the primitive level of duplication, copy the entire infrastructure of the primary level within the matrix, even the increment all primitive the pattern group, the copy to assemble the property region of the matrices, compiled no matrices. Alright, E5, rectangular pattern graphic unit interface define facilitate 1 or 3 or 3-dimensional rectangular pattern with the with the XYZ direction positively along each of them in order to create the rectangle. As note, they exchange the line with the vector with the change with a condition that each of them must remain precisely perpendicular to the other. Would you the direction of the series with the check of the use specifically number of the copy delta between the copies of each of the axis. Use the list series check for you can specify the list of the deltas along each axis. And this shows the pattern control, your rectangular cylindrical cylindrical graphic depth of group name, the XYZ direction, source string, replacement string, increments, objects, and your delta and your numbered ZY directions. A cylindrical pattern. The cylindrical pattern is graphic unit interface shown figure the E3 with the facilitate the severe shape pattern to rotate with the round with the central vertex of the sphere specified radius azimuth, the elevation angle shown in the figure E4 with the pattern object with the cape of the sphere of the arrow may be oriented as built around the sphere of the rotate of the azimuth, the elevation, so the orientated time toward the pattern with the rotated azimuth and the rotated elevation checkbox. As shown in figure E4 with the pattern center of the field with the coordinate with the center of the pattern with the object center of the field with the user defined coordinate with the user logic of the object relatively to the pattern center with the x with the key point with the transformation of the pattern object starting at the azimuth and starting elevation field with the file with the same with the right hand Cartesian coordinate convention with the multiple device geometry editor viewing the starting radius is the distance of the pattern center with the object center with the user layer specified with the azimuth elevation creating the azimuth and angle with the elevation angle series. They check with the user to define the number of the azimuth and the elevation delta with between each of the list series. They check the most specified with the list for the azimuth and the elevations. Create the radii. U for the radius lift the series. They define the offset with the series radius allowed with the U to create the pattern with the concentric surface. They create the radii and check with the user specifies. And this show the sphere grace user interface depth group name pattern object rotate azimuth rotate evaluation as stating azimuth elevation radius source replacement string object listing created radii number of radii is delta using radii relays creating azimuth number of elevations delta elevation delta number of the radius delta the order to control the number of the equally offset with the superior pattern. The usually radii lift to check with the user specific list of the radius offset with the rotate azimuth rotation elevation base check with the pattern object that oriented the built with any with the rotation over the example that every arrow figure A5 with the points to the left. Notice all of the term check with the object pattern center with the specified at the tip of the arrow with located with the center outline with the distance of stated radius from the point of the pattern with the center with the object center with the coordinate with the base of the arrow with the base of the flat line on the circular outline. Wherever the object center is set with the point which the MG multiple graphic editor display works to the object center coordinate with the play with the rotated pattern objects. Alright, this shows pretty much crazy example of different cylindrical pattern operations. Pattern center starting radius objects in with the coordinate with the user defined radius with the pattern object for the key point object for the translation object center arrow point pattern object E7 cylindrical pattern of the graphic user interface shows 86 overlay illustrating the cylindrical shape of the pattern of the user define the center of the direction height of the azimuth and radio input of the base center with the vertex with the cylindrical shape object center with the user define coordinated U with the located the object with the base center with the height direction of the act with the key point with the any with the transportation pattern object with the height direction of the vector along which the cylinder runs starting heads offset with the base center along with the height with the direction pattern will play the object center depth over the name of the group base object with the rotate starting the azimuth direction create azimuth the number of the azimuth delta azimuth list use the list source string replacement starting height of the direction create height with the name of the height using list with creating the number of the radius that you read the radii equal length and period. Alright, Appendix F using the building region command.